Hasn't.
No.
Hey, we're talking to Frank Beckwith. He's the author of Defending Life, a moral and legal case against abortion choice. And by the way, folks, this book is not going to quote Bible verses at you. Although Frank is a firm believer in the Bible, as am I, you don't need Bible verses to prove, number one, that an unborn child is a human being, and number two, the unborn child ought to be protected by our laws. And by the way, you don't even need religion for that either. This is not an application necessarily of religion. It certainly is an application or legislation of morality, but that's what all laws do. And Frank makes a great case in his book, Defending Life, a moral and legal case against abortion choice. With just a few minutes to go, Frank, let me throw a couple more quick objections at you. What about this back alley abortion objection you get all the time? Look, Frank, if abortion's outlawed, we're going to send women to the back alleys. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. It's basically saying that if abortion, that's right. If it becomes illegal, then women will seek illegal abortions. Of course, this begs the question, if the unborn human being is in fact one of us, then the argument is essentially saying because certain people in our society will actually take risks in killing others, we ought to make it safe for them to do so. That's a crazy position. And also, I think, shows a lack of respect for women in crisis pregnancy. It's essentially buying into kind of a sexist notion that if women are in crisis pregnancies, they're going to do crazy things, even harm themselves. I mean, it's ironic that feminists would use this argument. If an old-fashioned chauvinist were to use it, we'd easily recognize it as a form of bizarre sexism. And yet this is exactly what it says. It says the women can't be trusted if the law doesn't allow them to have abortions.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow. And you made the brilliant analogy years ago in Politically Correct Death about an analogy to terrorists making bombs. Do you remember that analogy? Go ahead.
This is it's pre-9/11.
Yes, it's pre-9/11, but it's perfect now. Go ahead.
That is, imagine if somebody were to say, imagine President Clinton once said, something like, right now there are too many terrorists out there making homemade bombs and hurting themselves, so I think we got to make it safe and legal. We would think that's crazy, right? That, if we discovered that they were sort of blowing themselves up. And we'd say, wait a second, they're making the bombs to kill other people. We can't make it easier for them to do that. Now, of course, the pro-choice person would say, well, I don't think the unborn are people. Well, fine, then that's the issue. Then the other argument's not relevant.
That's right.
As our friend Greg Kokel says in one of his brilliant little essays on this, he says, look, if the unborn child is a human person, then all the pro-choice arguments are irrelevant. But if it isn't a human person, they're all unnecessary. And he's right. I mean, if it's not a human person, then why do you need to use the back alley argument?
That's right.
If
or
it
the rape
is
argument.
A human person, then it doesn't do anything.
Right. Excellent.
So that's
point.
doing the work, in other words.
Well, Frank, it's been a pleasure having you on the program. The time goes quickly here. We're going to have you back on because there's so much more we could talk about. But the book by Frank Beckwith, Defending Life, a moral and legal case against abortion choice. Frank, the website again is francisbeckwith.com, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, Frank, great having you on. We're going to do it again. If you want to learn more about Frank Beckwith, francisbeckwith.com, and also get the book, Defending Life, a moral and legal case against abortion choice. Other books are available as well. I'm Frank Turek. We'll be back next week with another edition of Cross-Examined with Frank Turek. See ya.